Hi, Dr. Reagan Robertson, CCO of Productive Dentist Academy here, and I have a question for you. Are you finding it hard to get your team aligned to your vision, but you know you deserve growth just like everybody else? That's why we've created the PDA Productivity Workshop. For nearly 20 years, PDA workshops have helped dentists just like you align their teams, get control of scheduling, and create productive practices that they love walking into every day. Just imagine how you will feel when you know your schedule is productive, your systems are humming, and your team is aligned to your vision. It's simple, but it's not necessarily easy. We can help. Visit productivedentist.com/workshop. That's productivedentist.com/workshop to secure your seats now.
Profit over people. Is it becoming the norm here? And how ethical, how much are we willing to violate our ethics at the expense of the patient?
Welcome to Investment Grade Practices Podcast, where we believe private practice dentists deserve to get the lifestyle today while building an asset for tomorrow. Join your host, Victoria Peterson, to design the practice of your dreams and secure your financial independence. Let's get started.
Welcome back to another episode of Investment Grade Practices. Have you ever found yourself in an ethical dilemma? That's the topic that we're going to explore today with Dr. Maggie Augustyn. Maggie, you're one of my dearest friends and biggest heroes in this industry. I love you so much. Thank you for your vulnerability and your willingness to just put everything out there. People, you have, I don't know how many articles a year you write, like 250, 300. Most voracious writer. You're everywhere. You just got inducted. I'm going to talk about your induction in the ICOI and all the fun things you're doing clinically and professionally. Welcome to the Investment Grade Practice Podcast.
Thank you very much. This is one of my favorite places to be. It has been a journey to get myself to a point where I can stand proud with the PDA company and all of its values and everything it stands for. And it's just been a tremendous honor and a road worth going down to come and stand here with you and yours.
Well, I know we've podcasted before. You've been on Everyday Practice. You joined our faculty this year. We're so blessed for that. And I think one of your latest articles was, what was the title? From $100 in the bank
to generational wealth in less than 3 years.
Yes. So I want to pull back the hood, you greedy woman. You must be doing something wrong. You must be unethical. How does that happen? How do those stinking productive dentists get 2 times national average or 3 times national average in the productivity? And we were having a great conversation, not even about productivity, but about hiring and the state of associate doctors and hygienists and things like that. And at the heart of everything you do is ethics and your ethical code. And so I want to begin there because you've proven, like what I couldn't even put into words, that to be productive, you must stand on a foundation of ethics. So I'm going to open up the window there and I want to invite everybody into your living room because you've just had some fresh experience. That's so much fun. So I want to look at the, ethics and like how to live, how to thrive in this ethical turmoil we're in right now. And I want to go through the lens of trying to hire an associate doctor or a hygienist or retain these great people in your practice. So share with me your recent experience about interviewing for associates.
We have come finally to a point where we would like to share our vision, our patient demographic, our servile leadership with another provider, with another dentist. And so I had put together an ad, and I'll tell you, I posted it on Dental Nachos and Job Connect. And then I posted it, but only online with Chicago Dental Society. And I have gotten a lot of responses to it. And it's an ad that's not written like every other one, seeking general dentist part-time. We talk about culture and we talk about mentorship in those ads. I don't talk about what hours I need you to work. We're really getting down to the basics. And part of the ad, which Christine helped me write from PDA, is what is it that we are here to give the associate, as opposed to what is it here that we want from them. And that kind of a change in the way that we'd written the ad, I think, came back with such a strong amount of applicants. And so the one story that I want to share is I was interviewing a young woman, and generally I start the interview by saying, we're going to talk about nothing related to dentistry for the first 10 to 15 minutes. Let's just get to know each other. Tell me your favorite color, all of that. And she just kind of sits in front of me and she kind of looks around. She takes her two hands and she puts her hands on her knee. And she said, I just can't, I just have to tell you. And I'm thinking, what is she going to tell me? And she said, I just need you to know that the reason why I applied for this job is because you talk about ethical, and I need to know if it's true. Right. And then I think PDA way, right? Tell me more about that. What, where are you coming from? What is behind this? And so even though we skipped past that initial relationship building, we began talking about what it is like for her and some of the other associates that I have interviewed to attempt to fall asleep at night. And some of the stories that I heard were patients coming in to a public aid clinic with PPO insurance, okay, that had an occlusal one surface amalgam, that are now being talked into full indirect coverage over their last two molars, okay, so 18 and 19 and 30 and 31. And the associate saying, I'm not going to do this. And this is an office manager telling her, you need to put crowns on these teeth, right? And her saying, I'm not.
There's no decay in some of these teeth.
There might be a little bit of leakage around the occlusal. I don't even know that there's decay. We'll call it leakage. Okay, maybe some discoloration around the margins. Of course, I wasn't there. This is a story that I'm retelling.
Sure.
And so the associate says, I'm not going to do this. And the case is given to another associate who does do the work, and then for some reason is not present. And then when this came back to that original associate, the patient comes back with the 4 crowns done and TMJ issues. How is that going to let you sleep at night? And then there's just been multiple stories that have come through that have been like that. And I listen to it and I'm looking at her and I'm thinking back to kind of when I got out of dentistry, when it was like, and I thought I had a bad.
Right.
And I'm looking at her and I'm just in complete disbelief. This is nothing that I have ever had to face because I have owned a practice for the last 18 years or so. And once again, this is not a story that was just unique to her. Profit over people, is it becoming the norm here? And how ethical, how much are we willing to violate our ethics at the expense of the patients?
Wow. That's so powerful. And this is exactly why I wanted to explore this topic with you, because you're very open about, life sucked. Financially, it was hard. We changed some systems and it grew. But knowing the ethical thread that's behind it, I've never seen a consistently productive dentist that had issues with ethics. I mean, there's production mills. I guess we all have that fear, but that's not productivity. Productivity is like a tree bears fruit, right? It produces fruit. You go to the produce market. And so what comes out is what is within you. That's how you become productive. So it's compassion, it's connection, it's doing the right thing. And you made a great comment before we started recording, you said in your ads, you actually say we're an ethical office. Give us the
Yes.
disclaimer about that. Like, I know you can't say we're the best, we're the state of the art, but how is it that you can say you're ethical?
We just, I mean, I think, and I don't have the ad in front of me. I think I just said that we put what the patient deserves ahead of profit, and we act in an ethical manner. And if you've been searching for an office where ethics and ethical treatment planning and all of that is important, then we'd encourage you to find out more about us.
I love that. I'm going to have my team put this graphic in the show notes because all of us abide or should abide by the ADA code of ethics, right? If you're brought up on charges, you're going to go back and take ethics and jurisprudence. And in that, there is this really great graphic that shows the 5 pillars of dental ethics. And first and foremost is veracity, which means tell the truth. Tell everything you say. Don't tell what insurance covers.
Correct.
Don't tell what you're looking for. And so it sounded like this wonderful woman was in a clinic that had a process, right? There was a formulary. So we know what insurance covers. If it's this, our standard is for that. And there are quite a few formularies out there. I call that a philosophy of care. So your philosophy is formulary, billing code driven. Might be that,
Right.
right? There's philosophies of worst first. I'll treat the one worst tooth, and if it's $3,000, fine. There's another one that says infection first. So I might take that same $3,000 and treat 5 teeth just to get the decay out and stabilize them with composites, and then come back over time to build them up. I mean, there's all kinds of philosophies out there. But if you stand on veracity of, I'm going to tell you everything I see, and I'm going to try my best to help you make a good choice, which is the second part of the ethic, is patient autonomy. So how do you ethically tell patients everything they need and give them autonomy about the choice?
This has not been easy for me to learn, and it took most of my career to do that. One of the things that I learned from Bruce Baird, Dr. Bruce Baird, is at PDA is this sentence: do I have permission to present to you all of my findings? And patients will react strangely to that. Some of them will be like, well, duh, of course. And some of them would be like, wait, what, how much is there exactly? Like, why would you even ask me that question? Why hasn't anybody asked me that question? But we don't teach our young dentists to approach things that way. We don't empower them to have the confidence in saying, I'm gathering all this information and it's leading me into discovering these things that I'd like to share with you. And we're also teaching our associates, or our dental students and our dental graduates, to go into the room and literally tell the patient everything that's wrong with them, and then walk out and expect them all to do what we just said. Or they're just too timid to say, because they want to be liked. I just want you to like me. So I'm just going to tell you about 1 crown, because if I tell you about 5, then you're not going to like me. Right. So do I have your permission to do this? So you go through that, and they'll react a certain way and you'll react accordingly. And then once you do that, or even when you get towards the end of it, you say, look, this might be overwhelming, but the truth is that this is your mouth and you get to do whatever you want to do. My job is just to give you information and explain to you how we can get from point A to point B. However you want to do it, in whatever order you want to do it, that is entirely up to you. And there you have it. You have veracity, right? And you have patient autonomy. I'm not pushing any of this on you. I just want to do whatever is comfortable.
I love that. Well, and that goes to the next 2 points, which is non-malfeasance, like first, do no harm. And some of these pre-formulated, everybody gets this, can do some harm, like you were giving in that example with the TMJ issues. And then beneficence, What a great word. Like, is this beneficial? And I find I'm not a dentist. I'm a doctorate in humanities and spirituality, not dentistry. But as a hygienist, I have been floored by the number of employers I worked for that didn't want me to do fluoride. And when I really pushed them on it, they were like,
Oh,
well,
man.
why would I want to prevent cavities? I'm going to do
Mhm.
molasses trays. Or what I call the Weight Watchers. I'm like, Weight Watchers is a
Yeah,
program
yeah.
losing, right? And they're like, I'm like, what are you waiting on? What are you waiting on? And under a glass of scotch, it's like, well, I'm waiting for it to get big enough to be worth my time, right? And God bless the patients who have to wait until it's a root canal, right? So that's the fifth pillar, which is justice. And I'm kind of getting onto saying some things that if we truly had, a legal system that worked in medicine, we would probably be firing off on that one a little bit more for some of the things that are happening. But tell them everything you see in a way that they can make a choice that isn't harmful, it's beneficial, and it's legal. That's a pretty clean definition of ethics.
I think so too, especially as it applies here. And we have a responsibility to our patients, of course, but also to the next generation of young dentists to teach them to think this way.
Yeah.
Right. And to act in this way, and ultimately to do whatever it takes to let you sleep at night.
Yeah.
Because now we're looking at difficult times, and it's interesting as we're speaking about this, and that the ADA in their journal just released a lot of information about how non-invasive dentistry is working. And what's really sad about it is that the following issue, they had to release data showing how non-invasive treatment can be profitable, right? Like, how awful is that they had to support it? Okay, well, we want you to just treat these lesions with medicine. And you're like, psh, why would I do that? I'll just wait 3 months and do a filling, or 2 years and do a root canal. Well, it's profitable for you to also use Curodont or Icon or silver diamide.
And how did they prove that it was profitable?
They showed the amount of time that it took for the dentist to do the procedure, showed how many of those procedures can be done by a dental hygienist and an assistant, the overhead of the procedures, just real number crunching.
I love non-burr revenue. Right? It's so much easier.
Imagine that. Imagine that.
You don't have to turn a handpiece, and patients are taken care of. Well, you know what? I didn't see the study, but when you think about that, I mean, that's what chews up your time and makes your day unproductive, is doing single surface composites or, class 5 buccal pits. So why wouldn't you want to prevent some of that and do an aesthetic case or do something else? Yeah.
There's plenty of patients on whom you could do aesthetic cases, right? You don't have to fill your schedule with people that don't want them or don't need them. What's also interesting is that as I have started to incorporate more of the non-invasive dentistry over the last 6 months into my practice, I'm getting a lot of pushback from patients. Why? Nobody's ever told me this. I said, why would you want me to drill on a tooth? If I touch the tooth, I'm going to aggravate the nerve. How many times can I do that before it gives out? And then, of course, comes the question of, well, why doesn't the insurance cover it then if it's so good? Well, I mean, that's a whole different conversation, right? But patients are just learning about these non-invasive therapies.
Should we run dental insurance through the ethical framework? It's there's so much we could talk about, and I know this podcast has, a limited time frame. Man, when you think about building an investment grade practice, let me pull this back into the practical, right? Why ethics are profitable. Because at some point you want to be bank ready or sale ready. And that might come in a planned succession plan. It might be that you've hired this associate and it's time for the associate to buy in. It may be that you want to expand the building and you want a loan. It might be that you get hit by a bus and your spouse has to do something with your practice. These skeletons in the closet of code overutilization or patient complaint or refund or all of that just really kills a practice on its sale value. And it kills your marketing with 2 and 3-star reviews or low reviews. It kills the morale of your team. It's not just the doctor who can't sleep at night sometimes, or it's your team. You know, they're the ones faced with the complaints. It's the reason why you have turnover and all that. We did a lot of studies in 2022 on team turnover as the talent wars were ramping up and people weren't coming back to work. And for most dental practices that had excessive turnover, and you know what I'm talking about. If you have 3
I sure
assistants,
do.
one that you just can't hang on to because the other 2 pull against them, you know, that
Yeah,
kind of
been there.
it can cost you the equivalent of 6 months of new patients. So all the money you put into marketing, all that you do to bring them in and treatment plan and get case acceptance, we're focused on that. But 6 turnovers in that 6 months, you've wiped out every bit of that goodwill, all the profit from those patients. So it hurts you on so many levels. You don't have to get sued to have ethics have an impact on your
Mhm.
practice.
And I know we started talking about, you know, dental hygienists and dentists living within this questionably ethical world sometimes, but it is really no different for every other position or every other team member. That turnover in terms of why people are leaving,
Yeah.
they might refer to it as toxic culture, but I'm curious how often when they say toxic culture, they might be talking about the lack of ethical presence. In another interview that I did today, just unrelated to the associateship, we were talking to an office administrator who said, I left because the doctor got certified in doing all on fours, and he'd have a full schedule one day, but then he had another case come in, $50,000 to do all on X. He'd reschedule all of his patients to another day just so that he could do that all on X case, right? So, like, it's not just present between the dentist and the patient. Everyone in the office can feel it and can see it. And then
Yeah.
the word of mouth, what happens with that?
Profits over people. That's
Happens for people.
I love Bellingham's book, Small Giants. And I think most dentists are small giants. So if you haven't read that book, I'll put that in the show notes too. But it's a people over profits model. Most small business owners, most small giants really do strive for lifestyle businesses that treat people well. And I know you treat people well, and we're going down kind of a dark tunnel here because I'm hoping that it's only a small segment of the marketplace, but this isn't a DSO problem. This isn't a solo doctor problem. This isn't everybody's problem. We need to restore the workplace and the culture and the ethics. I on the news the other night I saw that 48% of jobs in America today are now virtual, freelance work.
Wow.
48%. So it's not like you have this huge labor pool. Only 50% of the marketplace is working brick and mortar for a singular employer. Like they're virtual freelancers in control of their life. And so it's making it tougher to attract and retain within the field. We had a hygienist the other day who left to start a party planning business. You know, she did it as a side gig, and the side gig started paying more than being a hygienist. And I mean, good on you. You can throw birthday parties. So she's throwing birthday parties for all these working moms who are too busy to do birthday parties for their kids.
There
You
you
know,
go.
society's kind of gotten on a rat race here. So with investment grade practice, it's investing in yourself. It's investing in your self-care, your own mental mindset. I think it's so easy to get in a mindset of just, you know, got to make the donuts. I've
Right.
seen that. That's a crown. We bill for this. And getting into that numbing out, maybe of paying attention to what's really happening with the patient. So there's no judgment here. It's just an observation of of the wake that it can leave, for patients' health and our own colleagues' mental health as we're making it okay to work in these conditions.
That will destroy a young person's zest and passion and drive and willingness to learn and thirst for growing, to be in a place like that. And then for those of you that are, or for those that are interested, what is the ROI on doing ethical things? Well, it's actually having people that are productive, that are interested in helping you grow, right?
They're happy, they're thriving, they're the orange tree that's producing oranges. And
they want to be there. They want to
yeah,
be there for you and for the patients and for
yeah.
each other.
Maggie, thank you so much for joining me. You're a wealth of knowledge. I encourage everyone, boy, how many magazines are you in? You're in Dental Entrepreneur, you're in Dentistry Today, you're on Nachos, you're everywhere.
Thank you. It's really fun for me to put together my thoughts on paper, and I'm grateful to anybody that's willing to either publish it or read it, because for me, it's a process. That's how I grow, is I put the words on paper.
Love it. What's the best way for people to connect with you if they've got, I know you're up for a cup of coffee almost anytime. How can people connect with you?
Find me on Facebook. That's probably the easiest, Maggie Augustyn. You can go to our website, myhappytooth.com, and my email is pretty easy. It's Dr. Maggie, DRMAGGIE at myhappytooth.com.
I love that. And just a note of celebration, tell us the accolades that you just received in September of this year.
I was right after our PDA workshop meeting in September. That same weekend, I drove to a different hotel and finally was able to get the fellowship in the International Congress of Implantologists.
Fantastic clinician, amazing mother, beautiful coach. Maggie, you're the full package. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you, Victoria.
And humble. And humble.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Investment Grade Practices Podcast. If you find value in this episode, help us spread the word by passing it along to a dental friend, subscribe, and give us a like on iTunes or Spotify. Learn more about building your investment grade practice at productivedentist.com today.